Most of us don't like waiting, particularly if we're waiting for something to change or something to get better. Waiting can be a very frustrating experience.
To everything there is a season, and to every purpose under heaven there is a time for it. This is one of the best news I ever got in my life. When I understood that everything is a season. Let me tell you why. If you're having a bad time right now, it cannot last. If your business is going in the wrong direction, it's a seasonal slide. If you have no money right now, the good news is I am seasonally broke. That's why we are always reminded, never make a permanent decision in a temporary problem.
Don't make a permanent decision over a temporary circumstance. Don't allow a moment of agony to make you draw a conclusion about life prematurely. Because if you just keep on walking, God has a way of making everything all right.
You can't change the seasons. They're set. All of this has been set in motion. You can change yourself. You can't change the seasons, but you can change yourself. Life and business is like the changing seasons.
You can't love your life and just love parts of it. You got to learn how to embrace it all, and the only way that we can ever embrace things that are painful or seem unjust or unfair or that we don't like is if we learn some secrets that the Apostle Paul talked about. He said, I've learned the secret of being content.
One of the things that we know about life is that you're always going to be changing. In the old pattern, in the old chapter, you had certain patterns, right? In the old chapter of your life, you would go to the bar and drink. You would go to the store and spend money you didn't have. You're in a new chapter now. And so you have different patterns. When the patterns change, so will your circle of friends. It's a fact of life. But that doesn't mean your old friends aren't friends anymore. It just means that you don't want to hang out with them. You still care about them, but you don't like doing what they do. The patterns have changed.
If you're going to reach your destiny, you have to learn to kiss things goodbye. You're not going to understand everything that happens. Life may not turn out the way you thought. People may walk away. It's easy to get bitter, lose your passion. Kiss the person that walked away goodbye. Kiss the bitterness goodbye. Kiss the dream that didn't work out goodbye. God wouldn't have allowed it to happen if he didn't have something better in front of you.
The hardest thing to do, the hardest thing to deal with, the hardest thing to put up with is transition. The thing we hate the most is transition. We hate it because it takes us out of our element. It takes us out of our comfort zone. You cannot control everything when you are in transition. It is what it is. It happens like it happens. I can't be pretty about it. I got to come out any way I can. I'm in transition. When my water breaks, get ready. Here I come. That's my sign. Here I come. Touch your neighbor and say, move.
Don't neglect a new life if you've started a new life. Learn the good, evil. Summertime. Here's what you must not become: a victim of yourself. What is that insidious voice inside your own head that says, you're too short, it'll never work for you, you're too tall? And here's what you've got to do: cooperate with the positive side of your life and let faith drive out doubt. Let winning drive out losing. Let positive drive out negative.
There's always seasons of waiting and seasons of harvest. There's seasons of testing and seasons of breakthrough. To everything there's a season and a time for every matter of purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die. A time to plant, a time to pluck up what is planted. time to break down, a time to build up, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance.
Anybody can criticize. Anybody can talk scandalously about you because of what you did or did not do. But they don't know your story. They don't know how many storms God has brought you through.
I've learned how to ignore some foolishness. Come on, if you try to respond to everything that everybody got to say and accuse and every opinion that people got, that's all you will spend your time doing. But I've discovered that God has anointed you to do his will, and you do not have to waste your time responding to foolishness.
There are people and opportunities that were ordained for your past that are not ordained for your future. They were right for a season, but that season could come to an end. The key is how you handle the closed doors, how you handle the person that did you wrong. Sometimes, instead of kissing them goodbye, we smack them goodbye. I didn't like you anyway. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
The higher we went up, the smaller the circle got. If you really think you're going higher, you got to notice that the higher you go, the smaller your circle. You can't go high and go wide at the same time. If you don't do that right and do it the other way, you're going to keep falling over, so there may have to be some cutting back.
Learn how to survive the winter. Speaking of life in its simplest aspect, the first key to learn in your life on the spinning planet is to learn how to survive. So we cannot rearrange the coming of the winters, but here's what we could do: get stronger, wiser, and better, so that we can survive better, learning to handle the next winter of a divorce, the next winter of an illness, the next winter of a death in the family, the next winter of a loss financially, to be better equipped.
You got friends for a reason, you got friends for a season, and you have friends for a lifetime. As the patterns of my life change, so do the friends that I hang out with more frequently. And I also believe that as you change and the patterns in your life change, people show up in your life for a reason. And it's exactly the kind of people that you need. They're there for a reason. And the friends of yours that are friends of yours for a lifetime, I bet you don't hang out with them that much at all anyway. But I bet they're the first person that you call when you need to talk to somebody about somebody important. And those folks that are still sitting at the bar and love to blow money that they don't have, those were friends for a season.
Get rid of all things, people, and situations that no longer belong in your life. That means you are going to boldly step into and walk into the unfamiliar. Boldly get rid of things, people, relationships, friendships, surroundings. Deciding that you love yourself enough to no longer walk in the direction of pain, drama, or dysfunction.
The collection of ideas that turned your life around, the collection of ideas that caused you to learn extra skills. You got to have a good plan. You got to have a good health plan. You know, you can't be out of breath, right? You got to have the breath. You got to have the vitality. So you got to have a good health plan. You got to have a good financial plan. Learning to handle the passing of time. And that's what life is all about. Taking them on, finding solutions, executing, recording progress.
You got to change how you see yourself. You got to quit seeing yourself as a failure. You got to quit seeing yourself as defeated. You got to stop seeing yourself in a negative view. Why? Because your perception has to do with the way you think. And however you see yourself is going to impact or determine your thinking. Your perception has to do with the way you process information. I mean, if you're stuck in inferior and you're stuck in all these things, it will determine the way you process information. It's going to affect the way you view situations around you in your life.
I'm asking you to be at peace with your past, at peace with what you don't understand. Not bitter, angry, a chip on your shoulder. That's not going to keep you from your destiny. It's leading you to your destiny. Kiss it goodbye and move forward.
You are in your new season. Some of y'all came up with New Year's resolutions. You've already fell apart. You're supposed to step into the happy new you year. So many of y'all are in spiritual chains. You're not even physically behind bars. You are spiritually behind bars. You are stuck. You are institutionalized.
Here's what everybody has the opportunity to climb the ladder. Now first, all you need is what? A chance. But here's the greatest advantage, having the right philosophy. A change and a shift in philosophy here starts to change everything. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. If you work hard on your job, you can make a living, which is noble. If you work hard on yourself, you could make a fortune, which is exciting.
If you have friends that make you wrong for changing your life for the better, that's their issue. It's not yours.
I want you to be transformed out of the world. Transformed or changed from how you used to think, how you used to act. I want you to change yourself from the world to the Word. I want you to change yourself from those ideas that you got in the world and be ye transformed. How? By the renewing of your mind.
If you're not prepared to go through some bloody stuff and some dirty stuff, you don't want to keep feeding on this kind of word, because it will open up your mind and open up your thinking and open up your concepts until all of a sudden you are uncomfortable in what you were once comfortable in.
We were born to do a special work. You were born to do a special work. You are here for a reason, to do the greater work. Not just work for a living, but to make a difference with your life.
You're thinking on another level, and it's causing a separation. What used to be funny isn't funny anymore. And what you used to be satisfied with, you're not satisfied with anymore. And all of a sudden, you don't fit in the places you used to fit in. And they think you're acting strange. And they say things like, you forgot where you came from. I didn't forget it. I just can't stay in it.
So we've been talking about the power to change yourself. And ladies and gentlemen, you all have the power to change your life. Right now, you have the power to change. Say this out loud. I have the power to change my life now.
Every time I climb up a little bit, I start this pattern where I sabotage, or I start to believe too much, or my relationships go sideways. You're falling into these patterns. There's massive power in beginning to understand that's not who you are. You are not your possessions. You are not your accomplishments. You are not what other people say you are. You are not what you look like. And guess what else you're not? You are not your patterns, but your life becomes a combination and a result of your patterns. The great thing about us is that we can change these patterns if we identify them.
You got to weep with those that weep and laugh with those that laugh. You got to have this full understanding of the game. You got to understand the highs and the lows, the tragedy and the triumph. Just like in your mind, you got to stand guard at the door of your mind. Don't become a victim of yourself. Beware of the thief in your mind that's after your promise. And see if you can't engage in this mental contest and win the day.
When you have a vision, all of a sudden, all of the pain in your life now begins to have a purpose, because you realize, I'm not there yet, I'm on the way, I'm gonna keep on believing, I'm gonna wait for it. Habakkuk says, write the vision down. Make it plain, make it clear, visualize it, see it, think about it, share about it.
Why don't you kiss the self-pity goodbye? Being critical, sarcastic, that doesn't look good on anyone. Some people can wear designer clothes. They can have nice hair. They look great on the outside. The problem is none of that can cover up what's on the inside. If we would spend half as much time on the inside as we do the outside, we'd be much better off.
And when you are frustrated with the people you love, the conflict is overwhelming. It's one thing to be angry at people you don't know, but when you are angry with people you're in covenant with, the confusion is overwhelming because one thing says love them and the other thing says I want to choke you.
Success is something you attract by the person you become. Success is not something you pursue, chase, run after. Success is something you develop, something you become. You attract success. So the whole key to unlock all the treasures is by your own personal development. What you become is much more valuable than what you get. The major question to ask on the job is not what am I getting here. The major question to ask on the job is what am I becoming here.
Everybody wears this public mask, or this social mask I call it, where it's who they want everybody to think they are. It's the best put version of themselves. And if you're not careful, you begin to compare your own real identity with other people's public mask. Don't compare yourself. Most of the people you see on social media, or even in your personal life, or even when you go to lunch with them or see them at work, they're wearing what I would call a public mask. And oftentimes what we do in life is we compare our real identity that we're working on and we're growing to their mask. Any comparison doesn't serve us. When you're in a disagreement with somebody, it's the mask they're wearing compared to the identity you have, and then you begin to run a pattern to respond to it.
I'm not living in regrets, beating myself up. I'm putting an end to what's been passed down. I'm breaking the generational curse, and I'm starting the generational blessing.
The life is about growth. You can either go back to your comfort zone, and there you won't find any growth, or you must be willing to go forward and face your fears again and again and again, because you're never going to have a fear-free existence. I mean, some fear is acceptable and legitimate. Being stopped by fear is the difference between having a fear and the fear having you.
Live your life being present to who you are and what your superpower is. Don't be a volunteer victim. You've got something. You came here with something. You were chosen.
Is there something you need to kiss goodbye? A hurt, a bad attitude? They were in your past. They don't belong in your future. Forgetting what lies behind, I press to the high calling. You can go through life holding on to hurts, but that will keep you from the new levels, from the high calling. It's time to kiss some things goodbye. Kiss the disappointment goodbye. God has something better. Kiss that failure goodbye. This is a new day.
One of the reasons that people don't change is because they really don't know why they are here on the earth. They don't know and they don't understand their purpose in life. And when you know your purpose, you're going to change when you know your purpose.
If your life and the people that you have in your life creates nightmares for your life, the nightmares that you're having while you're awake, you're witnessing nightmares. Drama, dysfunction, negative people, you consuming your life. It's like, oh, there's negative dysfunction and drama, and you're going to walk into the direction of dysfunction and drama. When you go to sleep at night, those nightmares are going to continue till you sleep because of what you're deciding to do while you're awake.
How long is the night? It's only a few hours. Come on. There's never been a double night. So learn to think day when it's night. And then you must learn to think night when it's day. So you must think negative when it's positive. You must think winter when it's summer. You must not be faked out when it's nice. You must think storm in the summer and not get faked out. Work while it's day. Work while it's day because the night's coming.
So I'd ask yourself today, what are the patterns you're running that don't serve you? Begin to be aware of those patterns. Know who your real identity is. See those patterns when they're happening. Interrupt them. Continue to work on your identity. These two things, I think, are the critical components to making the decisions and the choices in our life that when we look back, I don't want you to end up in your 80s or 90s and regret the choices you made, regret the patterns you ran, and that you just unconsciously went through your life without choosing the direction of it, choosing the decisions.
I tell you what, don't ever let the devil steal your hope. I mean, hope is the most powerful motivator. When you continue to have hope, the devil cannot defeat you. And the word hope just simply means that you're expecting something good to happen at any moment. You say, well, I'm sick today. Well, expect to be well tomorrow. And if tomorrow you're not well, then expect to be well the next day.
There comes a point in your life when you look in the mirror and who's looking back at you realizes that's all you're ever going to be. Wow, what a blow, what a punch in the gut. And I kept seeking, I kept working at it because the one that I was living wasn't me and he had to go. You want to be successful? Watch successful people and do what successful people do. And so I'm saying to you, you have something special. You have greatness in you. I want you to write this down. Do what works.
It will be hard because life is hard. That's what life is. These challenges that you face, they're going to do their best to take you down. Do not let them bring you down. In fact, let those challenges raise you up. Let them elevate you. Let the adversity you face today turn you into a better person tomorrow.
It's guaranteed the spring will come, but it's not a guarantee of a harvest. Here's the key. You must do something with the spring. Take advantage of the spring. It's an opportunity now to turn things around. It's an opportunity to have a better one than the last one. Now, here's what you must do in the spring. It's a very short season usually. You must hurry. But life at the longest is short. So you must learn to appreciate opportunity and take advantage of it while it's day, while it's time. Now, we call spring a window of opportunity. It may not stay open very long, so take advantage.
You came here to make a difference. You came here to live an impactful life.
Even though you're going through the storm, you're not able to soar as high as you once did, God still gives you grace to run. Run. It gets hard sometimes. You keep running. They talk bad about you out of your presence, but keep running. They don't want to see you get a breakthrough, but keep running. Run, don't get weary. Run, don't let them discourage you. Don't let the chickens and geese in your life change your ego mentality.
Credit goes to our awesome patrons who make videos like this one possible. Consider joining them to support our work. You can also support us by subscribing to our channel and clicking the bell button to get notified when our new videos are released. And as always, thank you for watching.
Hi, welcome back to Mind Control.
Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you ask God for. The bigger the stuff you ask God for, the greater the requirements. Now, if you don't want nothing to happen to you, quit asking for stuff. You can simplify your life right now. Quit wanting something. But I got to tell you something, though. That's a hard life, man. You know, the Bible says to whom much is given, much is required. But when you ain't got nothing, You know, where my rent coming from? That's every month. You got to figure that out. How we gonna eat? We figuring out how we gonna make these ends meet. Every month, that's hard. So I've been at every economic level there is. I've been stark raving poor, and I've been well off. It's way better to have money. Don't let nobody fool you. I don't know what somebody done told you about money, but I've had none for an extended period of time. I mean, none. Now, you got some problems with money that you can't imagine. When you get it, you gonna have. It ain't a week go by, I don't get 2 to 3 pieces of bad news. But you know what I do? I take all that bad news with the knowledge that God must have something else for me. I live my life in expectation. Therefore, guess what? He gives me what I expect. I expect a life of abundance. You think they take this show from under me? You think I'm finna crumble? Don't even worry about Steve Harvey. Don't you know he got something else for me? Something way bigger, something way better. These people make decisions, they think they crumbling me all the time. They've been making decisions about me for years out here. They can't do nothing with me. I keep showing up over and over and over and over. I'm from Welch, West Virginia. I grew up in the hood. I've been shot. I've been laying on the street that's named Steve Harvey Boulevard. On the street they said I was dying on. They thought I wasn't gonna get up out that street. That same block I was dying on is named after me now. You can't tell me nothing about what God can't do. God do the impossible, man. See, I expect great things to happen to me, even in the midst of trouble. I dare you to start writing everything down you want. I dare you. I dare you. I dare you to call. You, look, man, if you call out God on his word, you better be ready. Because you're about to get checked. If you call him out on his promise, he gonna check you. I've been checked over and over and over till I got it. I don't even fool around no more. I go to God, I ask him for it. Then I write it down. Maybe you just want $100,000 a year. Put it down. Maybe you're just trying to do something nice for your kids or your grandkids. Write it down. How much you want to make a year? How much would you like to see in a savings account? Write this stuff down. This is critical information. It's not a magic trick, man. Quit tripping. This is real. This is how it works. Rich people do this all the time. We ain't out here just making paper because we that good at it and God love us more than he love you. That ain't why we getting it. We getting it because we understand the principles of success and we apply them to our life. Don't let these rich people out here fool you. All these people out here got vision boards. They might not tell you about God, but that's their problem. I don't do nothing without mentioning him because I would be nothing without him. I'm awash without the Lord. Do you hear me? I'm nothing without him. I'd still be living in Rakah if it wasn't for him. But he came and he got me because I kept asking him over and over and over and over. I dare you to go home and call him on his word.
This is a very important question, but to ask you. If you started right now at zero, no assets, no connections, what are the 3 things you would do to build your business career?
Man, I would tap into, all the things that I noted. I mean, if you took everything away from me right now, the things that are most valuable to me, you can't take away. So you take the plane away, you take the money away, take the real estate the portfolio away. 3 years from now, I'll be bigger than I was because now I have courage. If you guys can just find your courage, man, and that's a muscle. You got to go build a muscle of courage. I have courage. Nobody can take that away from me. You can't steal it from me. You can't beat it out of me. I have belief now. I know what I can do. Now, once you know what you can do, then you can do it a second time. And that's why so many people can go bankrupt and then come right back because they know now. The first time you do it, you don't know. The second time you do it, you're like, I think maybe the third and fourth time, you're like, I know for sure I can do this. So that's why I say success is so important. Success is my duty, responsibility, and obligation to myself. Forget my family for a second. I need success for me, to feel good about me so I can be good with my family. And I think a lot of people are trying to do their life without having success be part of it. Success is part of my mental, like, I think success actually is the best medication for my mental health. Because when I'm successful, dude, I'm happy. I'm a good father. I'm a good dad, you know, a good husband. So, yeah, just, you know, it's vital that people are successful. That's what I would tell people, man. You need to make it a priority. You need to make it as important as everything else that's important to you in your life.
Here's the deal. Someone's gonna get the candy in life. There's always candy in life. That piñata eventually always breaks down. Do you want to be the person who was there in the beginning, hitting as hard as you could and sacrifice it, and maybe hurting the people around you, and never get the candy? Or are you going to get something for your pain? You know what always happens with a piñata? Eventually someone hits it, and bam, the candy comes out everywhere. Every blow is like a compound pounding effect. That pounding, compounded by multiple people, eventually can create a breakthrough. Welcome back to Max Out, everybody. I'm fired up about today's topic because we're going to talk about one of the things that I think is the most important things as it relates to winning. And it's one of the things that you can decide you're going to do without any natural giftedness, because it's the #1 talent you must develop in order to win. And it's not talked about on social media. You're not going to get it in a personal development tape, in a peak performance program, self-help, and any of it. Remember this, the best ability is availability. Did you hear that? The best ability is availability, that you are available to win. Not enough people understand that this is an actual skill and talent. Most people in business or in life, whether it be relationships or the financial part of their life, they're always looking for these little tips and skills that you should develop. How to communicate better, how to be a better listener, how to suppress your ego, how to influence people, how to transfer energy, all these things that I teach, how to deal with failure. But I believe the greatest talent that you can draw a line through all the people who have won, not all the people that win in business or life are unbelievable transfers of energy. Not all of them can close, not all of them can persuade, not all of them are great listeners. Not all of them even dealt well with adversity. They did that the majority of the time. But all of them have in common, they developed the talent, and yes, it is a talent, it is a skill of not quitting. I don't think most of you right now that are struggling in your business life right now are giving yourself enough credit for this incredible talent you're developing, which is resiliency, which is the ability not to quit. Listen to what I'm telling you. As somebody has built multiple different companies, I've coached some of the top athletes, entertainers, business people, and politicians in the world. And I'm telling you that even in my own team, when I hire people, I look for resiliency, and a notch above that is the talent, is the skill of not quitting as the #1 thing that I look for. And many of you right now listening to this possess the #1 skill necessary to win and don't give yourself any credit for it, which means it's not helping build your confidence. It's not going to the bank of crediting for your identity. And so although you possess this incredible ability that so many people in the world don't have and don't possess, you have it and you don't value it. You don't prize it. You don't give yourself credit for having it. It ought to be where you draw the majority of your confidence from. The ability to say, I don't quit, I'm resilient, I own the #1 skill, the #1 talent required to eventually win. I already have. I can't quit. You'd have to kill me to get me out of chasing my dream, right? So #1, I want to point it out as the #1 gift. The best ability is availability. Do you have it? Have you decided to have it? Is it something you're going to possess the rest of your life? And those of you that do have it already, I need you to take an inventory, be aware of it, and be intentional with crediting yourself as you're listening to this or watching it today into the bank of your self-confidence, into the bank, into the deposits you make in your identity, because it has everything to do with winning. Every guest you've seen on my show, all the people that I've coached, all have different talents, skills, and abilities. What's the one they all have? The ability to stay present, the ability to stay in the fight, to have not quit. You think, well, that's not a big deal. Really? Because as I've been talking, millions of people made the decision to quit on their dream, just as I've been talking to you. The rest of the day, millions more will. Tomorrow, millions more. Every day, literally millions of people quit on one of their dreams, their dream relationship, their dream business, their dream body. So quitting has become the #1 habit in the world by people that end up losing. And I'm telling you, it happens every day, every second, everywhere. Just the fact that while I've been speaking, you're still after your dream, you're ahead of them. You don't give yourself enough credit, because eventually what I found, it looks like winning's this huge competition.
But every day, every week, every year, every decade, as time goes by, you're going to find that you're competing with a smaller and smaller and smaller group of people for your dream, because so many of them will just quit. And by the way, many of them that quit will possess talents, maybe even gifts you don't have. Their incredible ability with people, their incredible strength, their incredible brain, and they'll quit with all this giftedness, but you got the talent. You have to learn to distinguish between something that is a talent and a gift. You can develop skills, you can develop talents. Gifts are something you're born with. But the people that I see that win long term are the ones who develop the talents and skills required to win. Business and life's a lot like a piñata. You know, I was at a barbecue, a birthday party for a 5-year-old a while back, and they did a piñata. I mean, you've seen the piñata before. And it's an unbelievable metaphor for life. In fact, we had a call today, that life is like a piñata, because it really is. If you look at these kids at these parties, any of you that have ever been to a piñata, you can picture it. They got the piñata up there, and what do? It's just like in business and life when you start something new, a new relationship, a new body, a new pursuit, a new business, right? What do? They take this little 5-year-old and they blindfold him. They blindfold this little guy, right? And he can't see. He doesn't know where he's going. And then they spin him around. He gets completely disoriented, right? And then they hand him a bat. It's scary when you watch it, don't you? Picture these little kids, right? You blindfold them. They spin them around. They become disoriented. Does that sound familiar to any of you that are trying to build a business right now? You're completely disoriented, you're blind, you don't know where to go. They spin this little guy around, they hand him a bat, and they go, hit the piñata. And the piñata's over to the right, and they're swinging to the left. They're just whiffing, right? They're not even in the right direction. And then finally, what do? You grab the little guy or the little girl, and you turn them, and you have them face the piñata. They were completely disoriented. In fact, they were doing more damage to the people around them in the beginning with that darn bat you gave them, because they're so disoriented. A lot of damage was done before they even faced the actual piñata. They've been blindfolded and spun around, right? They're completely disoriented. Doesn't that sound familiar? It's just like building your new business. It's just like trying to transform your body. It might be just like this brand new relationship you've got. And in fact, the people around them are in danger in the beginning when you give these little guys this bat. Maybe that sounds familiar. Maybe right now you're at this stage in your business, or you've been there before, where there's been more damage done than there's been progress. You know what I'm talking about? The people around you have been more hurt by your new venture than benefited from it. Your relationship with them's not as good. Maybe financially you've hurt them or feel like you have. There's been a lot of damage. But what do we do with these little guys? We eventually take the little girl or the little boy and we point them in the right direction at the piñata. That's when you find Ed Milet's podcast. You find his teachings, you find his YouTube channel, or someone like me, and I can point you in the right direction. And then what do these guys do? They take the bat and they're hitting the piñata as hard as they can, and they're hitting it, and they're hitting it, and they're hitting it, and no candy comes out. And they get tired, don't they? And they can't go anymore. So what do? You get help. And you add a teammate, you add a friend, you take the blindfold off of you and you get a little help. That help could be a new recruit in your business, a new employee, a new vendor. It might be a new mentor. And we put the blindfold on them, we spin them around, and then they're disoriented, they're swinging, and they're not even hitting the piñata yet, they're hurting the people around them. Then what do? We take them, we point them in the right direction. Now they're following my show or great teachings. And they hit the piñata as hard as they can. No candy comes out. You take another child, new teammate, new recruit in life, right? But in the piñata says another child, you put a blindfold, spin them around, and they hit the piñata, and they're hitting it as hard as they can, and it feels like no progress is being made. No candy's coming out, right? And then eventually they're hitting it, and they get tired. And you think, man, how often they hit this piñata? What happens is sometimes the first few kids who hit the piñata, they kind of disappear from the party and start playing somewhere else. Maybe you've had that experience in your business. Some of the people you start with, they may not finish before the candy comes out. They may not be there. May not be there to celebrate, right? Some of the initial people disappear, and that could cause you to want to quit. But eventually what happens with that piñata, even though these kids are hitting the piñata and they're teaming up, they're all working together to try to make this candy come out, it doesn't look like it, but each shot on that piñata is putting them closer to the candy. Even though it doesn't seem like it, even though you can't see the candy, every blow is like a compound pounding effect. That pounding, compounded by multiple people, eventually can create a breakthrough. But what most people do is they leave the party before the candy comes out. That's true in business. Most people quit before the candy comes out. They don't stick around long enough. They got spun around. They get disoriented. They might hurt the people around. They get pointed in the right direction. They think they're making progress, then they don't. They think they're making progress, then they don't. And eventually, because no candy's coming out, no money, no changed body, no amazing relationship, they stop swinging the bat at the piñata. But if you stick around for the party long enough, you know what always happens with a piñata? Eventually someone hits it and bam, the candy comes out everywhere and everyone celebrates and gets all the candy and dives on it and celebrates. Here's what I'm here to remind you of today. You got to stick around long enough for the candy to come out. You got to wait for the candy to come out of that piñata called your life, called your business, called your body, called your relationships. The vast majority of people in life don't stick around for the candy because they think as they're hitting the piñata of their life, they don't think they're making progress. It doesn't feel like progress. But I'm telling you, the number one ability is availability. And if you keep swinging away every day, even though it doesn't feel like it, you are getting closer to the candy. You're getting closer. It just doesn't feel like it. You know what I had? I had the ability to keep hitting the piñata in my life, to stick around long enough. And by the way, when you eventually win, it's not just you that gets all the candy, that gets all the victory, that gets all the money. Lots of people around you, many of which who you were hurting originally with that bat, many of them who were trying to talk you out of it, they get to celebrate in the candy too. My prayer for you is that you begin to think about this analogy. The piñata of your life, the piñata of your business, the piñata of your body. As you're swinging away, I'm here to tell you, even though it doesn't feel like it, you're getting closer to the candy. And if you can add more people to celebrate, it's okay that you feel disoriented. It's okay that it feels blinding and you don't know exactly what direction to go. Just like these precious babies with the piñata. It's okay that you miss it once in a while. It's okay that you get tired once in a while. But as long as you keep after it and you keep pounding away, that compound effort of your pounding, I can promise you there's candy someday. And everybody around you will jump on it and celebrate. That's my wish for you today. As you listen to me, of all the skills I'm going to teach you, that I've taught you, and if you've not listened to my other shows, I teach you about listening, transfer energy, how to close, how to change your identity, how to live blissfully dissatisfied, how to unlock your success code, all of the very detailed things I teach. Today is the most important thing, is that as you learn all these skills, it'll help you with the blindness. Every single skill you learn, you'll see clearer and clearer and clearer. But if you don't develop the talent, the number one skill in the world, which is to keep hitting the piñata and to stick around until the candy comes out. Because here's the deal. Someone's gonna get the candy in life. There's always candy in life. That piñata eventually always breaks down. Do you want to be the person who was there in the beginning, hitting as hard as you could and sacrifice it and maybe hurting the people around you and never get the candy? Or are you gonna get something for your pain? Are you gonna get something for your effort? Are you gonna get something for this sacrifice you're making? You got to get something for this pain. You got to stick in the game until the candy comes out, and then we all get to celebrate. That's what I want you focused on today. I promise you there's a piñata in your life, and right now many of you feel blind and disoriented, maybe even hurting the people around you. Some of you are past that phase, and you're hitting your thing hard every day, but there's no candy yet. I promise you there's going to be a payoff for you, and that's my message for you today. I hope today helped you. I hope it gave you perspective. I hope it gave you hope. I hope you give yourself credit if you're not a quitter. Credit for you already possessing the number one skill for you to get the candy. Isn't all these other things I teach you, not all the other things you're going to hear on social media, not all the other things you're going to hear on a podcast, although you need those things, the number one thing is you got to be there to collect the candy. You got to not quit. You got to possess that ability. So hopefully that helped you today. And if this video or this audio did help you, I want to challenge you to listen to another one I've got called How to Turn Your Distraction into Success. The reason I recommend this one next is because one of the things that will get you to miss that piñata and not take shots at your dream, that thing you're breaking down to get to your candy, to get to your dream, is distraction. And in that audio and video, I teach you the steps to eliminate distractions so that you're getting more shots on the piñata and less whiffs every single day in your life. So I recommend you go to that audio or that video next. God bless you, and Max out. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around. If you'd like more, click the videos right here. They're exactly what you need to see next. And if you're new here, hit subscribe and become a part of the Max Out community. And tell me what you think about the videos in the comments below. I read all of them every week, and I select winners that get all kinds of prizes, gear, coaching calls with me. Make a comment.
When you get in certain states, you think one thought. When you get in other states, you think another thought. It's like turning the channel. And so what I really show people in the book how to do is how to turn the channel so that you're not suffering and you're living in a beautiful state. But what does it take? Let's just quickly say it. Number one, it takes acknowledging what's your favorite flavor of suffering. Is it worry? Is it stress? Is it anger? Is it loneliness? Is it boredom? Is it overwhelm? And then noticing what are the thoughts that trigger that and realizing it doesn't matter how much money you have, those thoughts can still make a billionaire crazy and frustrated and overwhelmed. And so what I show people to do is a process of how to let go of those thoughts. And we walk through that in the book in detail. But fundamentally, it starts with making the most important decision of your life, which is, if I would ask me up until 2 years ago, I would say it's who you spend time with, who you love. Because who you spend time with is who you become. I think it's still one of the most important decisions in life. But you can pick the right person and still do things in your head and make yourself miserable. So you really have to decide. The most important decision is, do I want to be happy? Will I commit to being happy? More important than happy. Sometimes you'll be so happy you smile so much your face hurts, right? You need variety. Am I committed to living in a beautiful state even when it doesn't go my way? Even when it rains on my parade? Even when my biggest fear shows up? Because I can't control whether your husband or wife will live or die or get sick or leave you or get a divorce. I don't want any of that to happen to any human being. I hate suffering. I do anything I can to help people not suffer. But I can't control that. You can. There are people who have lost their arms, lost their sight. There have been people that have been through the most horrific experiences in life, and they found a way to still be happy because they've made the decision that life is too short to suffer. I've interviewed dozens and hundreds over the years, but dozens that have impacted my soul, that made me realize I can change this. I've just gotten used to it. I've bought into the theory that this survival software that's constantly running and making you suffer, that's normal. No, that's what the mind will do. And mind has been around forever. What I'm going to do is something different. And the way I get out of suffering, I give myself a 90-second rule. It's really simple. I say, look, if I feel myself starting to feel that stress, feeling that pissed offness or upsetness or concern or worry about my kid, whatever, I realize that's not going to make it better. Life's too short to suffer. And then I just kind of breathe slowly, slow everything down, and I just watch the thought go by and go, look at that crazy thought. Because everybody's had crazy thoughts. Everybody's had a thought, I'm going to kill that son of a bitch, right? And then you don't kill them because you don't believe that thought. It's the thoughts that are stressful that you believe that mess you up. When you question them, you break the pattern. And then the last thing besides the 90 seconds, and by the way, Richard, be honest, in the beginning, it should have been like 4-hour rule, maybe a 4-day rule. I was not very good.
Waiting.
Yes, but what's nice is the more I've done it's like a muscle. The more I've trained myself to do it, I can authentically tell you now, it takes a lot for something to take more than 90 seconds from me now. And the level of joy surpasses all the money you could ever have in a million years. And then the money, it's easier to even make money because you're not attached. You don't have the fears. You don't have the scarcity that people have because you feel so rich already right now. I always tell people, don't wait to be rich. What is that richness? It's abundance, it's joy, it's happiness, it's contribution, it's getting out of yourself. Because as long as we're thinking about, oh my God, I lost something, or you did something, now I have less love, less respect, less money. If I think lost less, or because you did something, or because I did something, I'm never gonna have what I want in my life. Loss, less, never. Those 3 thought patterns, they're the source of all suffering. And the antidote, see it for what it really is, know it's BS, and find something to appreciate.
Thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Please also like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and families. Please watch our other motivational videos. Thank you again.